Welcome back to Big League Coaching. We've got a special class today with the master teacher himself, Mr. Bill Laskey. Bill, how are you?
I'm doing good, Sarge. It's so great to talk to you as well as the classroom about pitching. One of the biggest things I love to talk about, and today we're right back into another great class of pitching defense.
Well, there's so many different classes you're going to be able to take here at Big League Coaching from some great instructors, Bill Laskey, Mark Davis, Joe Youngblood, Eric Ortega, everything from strength and conditioning to pitching and grips and hitting techniques. Today, a little bit of a different slant on pitching, and it's becoming a fielder, being that ninth man. What happens once you release the ball? And Bill, I'm excited to get in a lot of stuff that it's like first day of spring training, PFPs. That's where we're starting today.
It sure is, Sarge. And anytime you're on a mound, you have to become that defender. We talk about that all the time. And you hit it right on the nose when you said once you release the ball, you become that fifth infielder. So one of the biggest things I want to talk about is defense. And we're going to get that started right now, Sarge. So we might as well get it going here on Big League Coaching and start it off with just a great class about big league coaching on the defensive end of being a pitcher. And that starts as we talk about the pitcher being that defender once the ball is released.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's so much responsibility, outside of, quarterback in the NFL, being a pitcher, especially a starting pitcher, what you're talking about, obviously relievers as well, but for a starting pitcher to help you stay in the game longer, those are the little outs over the course of a game. Just comebackers, turning it in double play, all the different ways you can help yourself win games. And for relievers, Bill, as you know, if you're a manager and you don't have confidence that the guy can field this position, that alone may keep you out of the seventh, eighth, or ninth inning. So this is a really important lesson today to really get some skills on how to become a good defender, because that will help you win games. It also will help you get into games. When a manager knows he can trust you, talk a little bit about that before you get into the nuts and bolts of it, just from a manager's perspective, what that means and how you can keep yourself in the game by some of the things you're going to teach us today.
Well, you're absolutely right. Every manager has to decide on what pitchers to use as starting pitchers as well as relievers. And the biggest thing is defense. You're not going to put a guy out there with bases loaded and you can't get a guy out from a ground ball back to the pitcher, a little chopper. You really have to work on these details of being a defensive pitcher as a starter or a reliever, because it is so important to feel the ball, catch the ball, make the throw. And as we talk about what's the situation that comes about, I look at some great pitchers that are great defenders. Greg Maddux, of course, 18 gold gloves. This comes to mind. And he was just like a goalie out there. Jim Cott in my era, Dallas Keuchel now, and Zach Greinke. These guys are the new gold glovers. And what do? They feel their position. They're relaxed when the ball is hit back to them. They don't stress out. And as we talk about, they make nice throws to bases. They don't panic. They don't overthrow the ball. They don't underthrow the ball. And that's why I always say the pitcher is considered the best defensive player. And I say most important, but I think it's the best because you're feeling balls at 60 feet, 6 inches, and there are some bullets that come your way.
Well, it's a very, very important part of the game. I think about, and just the beauty of the game, that 3-6-1 double play that you so rarely see is beautifully executed. I know this is another subject for another class where you talk about mechanics, but so much, Bill, about becoming a good fielder is a good mechanics so that you have a good release point so that you're in the proper fielding position upon release of the ball. So many of these guys you see who try to overthrow, their mechanics are all out of whack, and so by the time they release the ball, the middle is wide open. That's also part of being a good defender, is you've got to block that middle, right?
So true, Sarge. And we always talk about the follow through. Once a pitcher throws the ball, where's the weight? Where are your shoulders? And just like you said, sometimes these guys pull their shoulders all the way around and they can't get that ball up the middle. And it really hurts your defense behind you, because if you are square to the plate, now your shortstop and second baseman can move a little bit and cheat in a hole. So it is very important that a pitcher, once he releases the ball, becomes that fifth infielder. And we are going to pound this in our heads all day today, but it is so important to be square to the plate. And these things are so important when we start talking about all parts of the game. And today I just want to kind of do a little exam here and what I want to talk about today, the 3 points. And of course, first one is feeling your position as a pitcher. It's so important to know where the ball is hit, how hard the ball is hit, and other ways to field your position. And of course, the second one is definitely covering first base. It's such a key point for a pitcher to understand how quick and reaction time to be there at first base and not hesitate and end up losing a step to that runner coming down the line. And of course, the third thing is understanding some bunt defenses. We're not going to cover them all. We're going to cover a couple of them that I think are very key points that every pitcher should understand when that bunt defense comes up.
Sounds great. Let's get into it.
Yep. So feeling your position, and we're going to continue to talk about this. You and I talk baseball all the time, and it's knowing the situation. It always is. Before you make that pitch, who's on base if there is, where you're supposed to throw the ball, and if there's nobody on base, then field your position and catch the ball correctly. We talk about reaction to the baseball once the ball is hit, and that's the key. We talk about footwork. We talk about glove work. These are all things that are so important in catching the ball. And the key point is watching the ball, keeping your eyes on the ball once it's hit.
Well, I know we're going to see this a lot during this presentation, and it's a great theme in general about know the situation. You know, that's the kind of thing where when you see a pitcher go behind the mound, you know, who's up in the batting order, how many outs, what's the score? These are the things that a pitcher just simply has to have a feel for. It always blows my mind when I see a pitcher and all of a sudden he looks like he's lost with the count. Like, how do you not know the count? How do you not know the situation? So much of this is that pre-pitch prep. And that's what that walk behind. So that when you get on that mound, talk a little bit about what happens in that pitcher's head when you're in a big league game and and there's a lot of stuff flying in your head, or you're in a high school game and there's a lot of pressure. You know, you're at you're at a showcase. Like, these are important. What happens in that moment, and how do you get yourself to focus on know the situation?
Well, you said the magic word right there, focus. You have to focus on everything. Once you make the pitch, understand what that hitter is. You talk about who's in the lineup, where he is, what batters hit you the first time around. These things are all going through your mind as a pitcher, and you have to separate all that and become that fielder and feeling your position. It's so difficult because there's so many array of thoughts going through your head on making a good pitch. Maybe the umpire squeezes you. Maybe the ball is hit foul really hard and you're starting to think, well, did I hit the location that I wanted? So these thoughts are always going through your head. But the key is, Sarge, is once you release it, we're going to talk about it all the time. You got to catch the ball. You have to become that fielder that helps your infield out. It helps your outfield out. It makes an out. These are things that easy outs can happen, simple outs. And the way you catch the ball and you retrieve it and throw to first base, those are all key points to make that pitcher successful as a pitcher and also as a fielder.
Well, just looking at the bullet points that you have here, you know, proper footwork and glove work, you know, I know we're going to see that a lot, especially when we get to the bunt defenses later. So much of this is really just good footwork, getting yourself in good position, square shoulders. You know, these are basic mechanics that may seem simple, but it's the simple things in baseball that put you in position to make plays.
Well, you know, you talk about pitchers that overthrow, they overcompensate, and they really get out there and their body is so off balance. You never, ever see these guys become good fielders because they're worried about throwing hard, throwing velocity, trying to overextend. And sometimes that doesn't work. That costs you base hits up the middle. And that's one thing your shortstop and second baseman, they can feel comfortable if you're a good fielding pitcher. So it is easy to make this adjustment if you square your shoulders to home plate. That really takes a lot of the edge off with those balls coming back at you hard, off the edge, the little Bermuda Triangle ball where you can get to it. So as a pitcher, please notice these things when you're warming up. When you're taking ground balls, make sure you're square to home plate. It is so important. And of course, what do you need to do? You need to catch the baseball. And that's the key to it. Watch the ball into your glove. Watch the ball come off the bat. Understand what happens when you catch that baseball. And we call it a proper crow hop. A crow hop is off your back foot. You're balanced. You're taking a nice, relaxed throw to first base, and it's an easy out.
Well, I want you to talk a little bit more about that. I know you're switching the slide. You're going to show a good example of it, but just catching the baseball, again, it sounds so simple, but part of, I think, what you mean there is that most of the time guys panic, right? And they're looking to first or they're looking to second. They may not have known, and they haven't secured the ball. So part of catch the ball means you have to catch the ball first before anything else happens. And these are split-second decisions. So a lot of it, I know you're gonna get right into with this young man that you're showing here, this little lefty. But I just think that's important. You know, you say, well, of course, catch the baseball. But I think what I hear you saying is catch the baseball first, secure it. Nothing happens until you have that ball back in your hand.
Well, Sarge, you and I have coached for many years, and the things that you stress just as much as I stress is watching the ball into your glove. You have to watch that ball into your glove. I repeat it so much at the high school level, at the college level, because a lot of guys just like to snap it. And sometimes it comes off the edge of your glove. Sometimes you're not feeling that ball. Every little teeny mistake you make is with your eyes. If you can't see the ball come back and catch the ball, this young left-hander, 12 years old, and this was a bullet he caught. Look at his eyes. He's watching that ball right into the glove. These are key points for any young athlete on the mound as a pitcher. And these things you have to generate mind, relax, and make the play. These are key points as a pitcher. Easy outs are making easy innings.
Well, he's got his shoulders square too, just like you talked about.
Now here's a big right-hander, big boy, 6'4", 220. And this ball came off the edge of the bat, so it was a little scribbler. Came off the mound. We love his eyes following the ball into the glove. He's got the top hand in case that ball might hit the heel of the glove where he can still snatch it. And then here's the crow hop with the weight on the back foot as well as the front foot looking right at first base. But the mistake that I see here is the grip of the ball that he's trying to throw. The grip of the ball isn't cross seam. We always like to look at a cross seam ball when you're in your glove. You always want to catch that ball and feel that seam because then you feel it and you know it's cross seam. This one right here is more with seam. That ball may sail right down the right field line. That's about the only thing that he did wrong here in trying to just take your time when he gets the ball in the glove, feel where the ball is. You see infielders do it all the time, cross seam grip. And it's so important when you make a simple throw to first base like this.
Well, I want to get your take on this. It looks to me a little bit, though, so you're right. On the pitcher on the left, you know, he's definitely got good balance. His shoulders are square. His eyes are down, all the things you talked about. And his hand is in the, you want to say it's in the correct position, his right hand to secure the ball. But that ball's almost in his glove. I thought his hand should be a little bit closer. Maybe that's one of the reasons he got the two-seam grip there. Right? So, I mean, shouldn't his hand be a little closer there? Because during the crow hop is when you're shuffling the ball to get that four-seam grip. And I feel like that may have been a reason. So for young pitchers, talk a little bit about that, about during that crow hop, that's really when you have to find that four-seam cross-seam grip. So that
it's mostly, right when you get the ball in the glove, when that hand comes in the glove, that's where you have the time to really take that grip of the ball and move the ball around because that ball's spinning sometimes. You don't know, but once it gets in your glove, you should be able to really find the seams because there's only two ways you're finding the seams, with the seams or across the seams. Now, right here, he just looks like he went in and grabbed at anything. But you have time as a pitcher, especially to make sure you have that cross seam, four seam grip that you make a nice bullet throw to first base. If this ball was down the line and he had to come up and rip and throw, sure, he might have to get it out as fast, but he's got plenty of time here. So as a high school player like he is, take your time. You don't have to stress immediately. You have plenty of time to get a good grip and make a proper throw to first base.
It's good stuff. Some good teaching tools, good and bad there. We've got a first situation. Let's play Know the Situation with Bill Laskey, your favorite game.
Oh, you know I do this, and I love doing it with you because
Sarge, I got a situation for you. Well, in this one, we had two outs. no one on base, right? So the pitcher's nice situation, 2 outs, nobody on, comebacker. What is the best option? Something you rarely see, but is the smart play here. Walk us through it.
Well, as every pitcher knows, when I teach them the number one pet P I give you with 2 outs and nobody on, you better run that ball over to first base and underhand it to that first baseman, because that's an easy, stressless inning. And if once you start overthrowing, once you start getting upset and you fire the ball, I'm going to tell you most of the time it's going to be over the first baseman's head. And what happens? You, instead of out of the inning, you got a runner on second base. And now you have stress because you did it as a pitcher. Nobody else did it. You did. And if you don't have the mindset to catch the ball, run halfway over there, underhanded to the first baseman, inning over, and it stops any confusing point for a pitcher, because you want easy, relaxed innings. Jeremy Affeldt, one of the best relievers, did it all the time. A lot of pitchers do. And it's what just mind over matter. Catch the ball, run it over, throw it to them, and the inning's over. A lot of times, too, when you do have a tough inning, you might have first and second. You might have second and third, and you snatch that ball, and you might have been upset because you gave up a double. And what do? You take it out on that throw to first base. You either throw a bullet, and the first baseman not even be ready for it. It may come off his glove. Make the simple outs and make them easy for yourself.
Well, two quick things on that too, right? Number one, it's going to create great momentum into your dugout. You know, you get the outfield coming in and anticipate the play being over, and you're coming in, you know, you get a little momentum into your bat rack. And the second thing is your head coach is certainly going to appreciate it, knowing there's less stress of an overthrow. So save your coaches some heartburn and run the ball over to first base, says Bill Laskey.
Well, I tell you what, fielding your position, this is one of the key points. You know, catch the ball, make it easy on yourself. You don't have to come up firing. The one thing is the hitter's mad because he bounced the ball back to you. So he's running down first base with his head down, mad as hell. And now you just got to make him a little worse and make it an easy out for yourself. So
I mean, I know you're saying know the situation here, but really it could be any outs, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, not any outs, 2 outs, obviously, but regardless of how many men are on base, if there's 2 outs and it's a comebacker, again, your situation here says no one on base, but if there's 2 men on and you get a comebacker, run that thing over to first base. There's 2 outs. The inning's over with a nice little toss. That's really what you're saying here.
Exactly. And it could be bases loaded with 2 outs. It doesn't matter as long as you get that third out and you make it easy on yourself, make it easy on your team, get out of the inning and get your offense back up. These are little side bits. You know, we always say, you know, a pitcher needs to make it simple sometimes. And sometimes pitchers make it hard on themselves because they do stupid things out there. And one of the stupid things is trying to overthrow, make that hard throw to first base. And who are you impressing? There's no reason to try to do that, impress anybody. Get the third out, get in the dugout, you impress me that way. So feeling your position is extremely important. And that was really our first step today.
So I guess we're going to go into covering first base next. Again, always first thing you're going to say, understand the situation, know the situation. It's the thinking man's game. And there's nobody that has more thinking to do than a pitcher. But you've got to step on that rubber and know the situation and what to look for. And if a ball's hit over your shoulder, talk a little bit about the basics here that you've got on this first slide.
Well, one of the biggest things, Bill Fisher was one of my first pitching coaches with the Kansas City Royals, and he was one of the greatest pitching coaches. And he was the one that really instilled me when I was in rookie ball that any ball, and I'm a right-hander, so any ball hit over my left shoulder, it didn't matter where it was hit. Instinct was to turn and start going to first base. Because what that does, it gets you that half step to full step to get over to first base. Once you see where the ball is hit, then you can adjust either going straight to first base, making your little banana turn, which we're going to talk about, and really see the ball in front of you. If the second baseman has it, slow down, follow the runner on an overthrow, or you just stop, get out of the way. But you might have an aggressive first baseman that goes in the hole, left-hander that tries to make the stab. You have to go straight to that bag. And these are key points for any pitcher that the ball's hit over your left shoulder. Now, again, a left-hander, he's got to do the 360 and then bust tail over to first base. It's a little harder for him.
It is, and I think that's important that they go glove side. If you're a lefty, you got to go glove side and turn that way, correct?
Yes, that's exactly right. It's tough for a lefty because as he's seeing that ball hit over his left shoulder, he's already to this point. So he's got to regroup and then he's got to take off. And it's important for a left-hander to see where that ball is. Very important because most of the time you're going to go dead straight to first base because you don't have time to hit that little banana down the first base line. But the key here is, Sarge, you and I talk about it. You and I have been on the field many times. Look where the ball is. That's the first thing you got to do. Find out where the ball is and then adjust from there at any type of pitcher.
Meaning, is it a Bermuda Triangle ball? Is it going to be a flip from the first baseman? Is it a ball that dribbled and the first baseman went to his right and the second baseman went to his left, and it's kind of in the middle and it's coming from the second baseman? All those things are happening split second, but you've got to know where that ball is coming from, and the angle is what you're talking about here. Just the angle means where's the throw coming from.
And the key, Sarge, any pitcher will tell you, when the ball's hit over to your left, as soon as you hit it and that ball hits it, for a fact it's on that side. There is no hesitation. Once you hesitate, you miss a step by 2 steps, 3 steps, that runner's by you, and you can't have anybody blame it but yourself. And that's why I always said, when I always go back to Bill Fisher, because that was 25 years ago, and I remember him barking, any ball hit to your left side, boom, you're moving. And it instills me in teaching that now. And Bill Fisher was one of the best pitching coaches the Royals had for many years when they won the World Series in the 80s.
Well, before you flip to the next page, or as you're flipping it there, our man there on the pitcher had game face. Man, I love the picture of that kid. He knows the situation. There's no doubt about it. He's going to be in the right spot.
Yeah, I tell you, that was a great picture of that pitcher. I just love little leaguers when they're like that.
Great.
When you're seeing guys like that and you see their face and he's got that concentration right at that hitter.
He got game face. He can pitch on our team, right? Now talk about this guy here. Looks like it's pretty good form. Looks like he's got a pretty good angle. Walk us through about what you like, and if you see anything here that you don't like in this picture.
Well, I think the biggest thing, he's already done the little banana, and this is kind of maybe 3 steps before first base. The first baseman has caught the ball already. He's got his eyes on the ball. What I like, he's got his glove up, ready to catch the ball in front of him, where now he's just got to catch the ball and tag first base. And if the ball was higher, he still could get the glove up. But this is a perfect, look at what I like about this pitcher. Glove up, hand out. He's on the inside of the lane so the runner can't run him over, which is so key. And now he's ready to catch the ball and cover first base.
Well, it looks like it's going to be a perfect throw too, right where it is. This one that you're just moving to is a little bit lower. Talk a little bit about that, because I feel like he's got his glove up, just as you said. So you want to anticipate a good throw and show a good target to make a good throw. But you also have to be prepared that not every throw is going to be perfect. And I feel like too many pitchers run to the bag and expect every throw to be dead solid perfect. And if it's not, then we've got a fire drill. So talk a little bit about that as you walk us through this picture.
Well, everything you said, PFPs, expect the unexpected. And that's what a pitcher has to do when he's covering first base. There's so many things that can happen. The ball go off the pitcher's or off the first baseman's glove, or the second baseman follows up and catches the ball, and you become a first baseman then. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But this right here, the ball is a little lower. This is the second one he hit. He had his glove up, so now he can still come down and catch it. He can still come sideways and catch it, but he's got his target up, which means now that glove can go any which way, which means so much. Now, if he had his glove down, now he's got to bring it up and try to catch it. So the key here is for any pitcher, when you're covering first base, get your glove up and be ready for any throw around you. And this is what he did very well. This ball was a little lower than the first one, but still proper mechanics. He's got his eyes on the ball, and I'm going to keep harping. Stay on the inside part of the lane so you don't get spiked or run over.
But it's that first step, and you talked about it in the previous slide, right? As soon as that ball's over your shoulder, you've got to look, because if not, now you're trying to catch the ball and find a bag at the same time. What you're showing with these pictures that I like is that the action is happening in front of the bag. So he's going to catch the ball first and then still have a step or two, just like we're seeing right here. That doesn't always happen, but it should if you get there quickly. So it's that
So
first
important.
step you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, it's so important because you can never be late if you're early. And I always thought that when I was hitting ground balls, get there, you know, you can, you know, we always talk about that. You're late. Well, why are you late? Because you hesitate, and you can't hesitate. These things happen so quick, and you know it as well as I do. A ball hit, you got to move. It doesn't matter how hard it was hit or where it was hit. You have to prepare yourself that you're covering first base. If you have that mindset when the ball's hit over your left shoulder, this is what the end point is getting first base, catching a ball and getting a guy at first. First baseman leads him perfectly. You see the first baseman's hands showing you where the ball is going, showing where the lead is, and he catches it. Look where his eyes are on the inner part of that bag, and it's an out. So it was very well done right here.
Good stuff. What's next?
Well, here we go again.
Oh,
you
no,
know
the
situation.
But Bill Laskey, we're gonna have to start. We're gonna have to get a new like buzzer or some kind of logo to introduce. So now we got runner on second, one out. So we're gonna. Oh, this is the situation where we're gonna. The whole tip here is talking about getting yourself in position and that runner coming around third. So go ahead and walk us through it.
Well, it's
runner
so
on second, one out.
It's so important to know what happens when there's runners on base, because you still have to cover first base, but you have to understand what's going on behind you when you're running there. And this situation right here with a runner on second base, could be no outs, could be one out. And you know what? And the key here is you're going to feel that ground ball. That ball's hit over your left shoulder again. Now I'm going to first base and I'm going straight to the bag because I know that runner at second base is going the opposite way to go to third. Now I have to somehow slow him down, stop his feet. And the key here is once you catch the ball, you have to become a good fielder. And that's eyes on the runner, ball in hand, and ready to anticipate if that runner is going to go around third and keep going, or is he going to come around third and go halfway and see what you're going to do as a pitcher. So this is one of the situations I like to throw at pitchers because it's so important. They catch it, they know where the runner is, and then either run the ball in or you throw the ball to home plate in case he keeps running around third.
So what you're talking about there is pure anticipation and know the situation before the pitch is made. I also think the other side of this, which hopefully kids aren't doing anyway, but I still think about this play. I think about David Cone. Remember that, where he argued with the umpire? It was a close play, and all three runners scored. The first runner scored, the runner was safe at first, and he stood and argued so long at the out at first that both runners scored. That is definitely not knowing the situation. Do you remember that?
I do. And the situation was that third base coach kept rounding him, go, go,
Yes,
go.
He did.
Because, hey, you know, his head was on the umpire. Everything was going on behind him, and he had no clue. He was so intense about making sure that umpire missed the call, and the opposing team, they took advantage of him. And these things do happen because you get so wound up. I got him to the bag. I beat him to the bag. Umpire called him safe. You still have to get eyes on that runner. And David Cone didn't do that, and it cost him 3 runs.
Got the hitter a couple extra RBIs too.
Well, we're going to look at a couple of things here. And one of the things is we're going to talk about covering first base. And we're going to show a couple things my big right-hander did and a left-hander. So as we're looking at right here, the big right-hander gets the ball. He's looking at first base, and he's right there with a perfect throw, a nice one-hander. Now, my left-hander here is way out of whack, if you can see this.
Oh, yeah.
And he's going to go down the line, but he's not even close to where the first baseman has the ball already, Sarge, and he's not even close to being where he's supposed to be. Oh. And now he's racing to the bag. The runner is probably by him or close to him. And what does he do after he catches the ball, which is to the side? He reaches for the bag and misses the bag. And that was a key point right there where you have to be under control of yourself to know where you are. But he took too big of a round to first base, and he didn't have his glove up, and everything was late. And no doubt that runner was by him.
Yeah, that's a big banana right there for sure. That's a big banana route. We don't want that kind of banana route.
Yeah. Now, this is with the runner on second base. So we talked about looking the runner back. That's the first thing, making sure his feet are stopped, making sure he's not extending his lead. And here we go with that ground ball to first base. Now he's going straight to the bag. You see him a little turn there, but he's going straight to the bag. And now he touches first base. But I want you to look what he does. Look at that. Eyes on the runner, ball in his hand. He's got good weight on his back foot. This is the perfect opportunity for this pitcher to throw that runner out if that runner's come around third. But at the same time, that's what we're talking about. Every pitcher should do once they catch the ball.
Well, I don't think people realize, too, the message that sends to the other manager and the other dugout. When you see a guy execute like that, you know a team's well, because you're going to think twice about thinking you're going to take a bunch of extra bases. So a simple play like that, even if the guy doesn't go and they know that you're aware. And that's a great message to send to that other dugout.
And you know what? During the game, you're going to see some things that pitchers do that opposing third base coach is going to see if he's a good defensive first pitcher. Is he going to cover first base? Is he get all nervous and radical at a mound? Is he going to be all intense? And you're going to take advantage of him if you're a good third base coach. So it's relax, take it easy, make sure you understand what you're doing, and make sure you're at first base every chance you can.
All right, now we're going to talk a little bit about small ball. We're going to shift to bunt defenses, and then we're going to go through 2 or 3 different ones here. The first one is just a classic bunt situation. Man on first, we're bunting a guy over. And talk a little bit about know the situation. What are we walking through here in terms of the responsibility of the pitcher on these various bunt coverages we're going to talk about here?
Now, one of the keys that I like to talk about on bunt defense is exactly what a pitcher's supposed to do. And this is your classic bunt where the third baseman's coming in, first baseman's coming in, and you're coming straight to the bunt. The play here is at first base. Very seldom when you have a classic bunt, you're going to try to get him at second unless the ball's bunted hard to you. This is what I'm talking about, knowing where to go. These are key points in every pitcher. The third base will come in, classic bunt, straight in. Catcher will come out, you got the middle. All these verbal signs to you, and now you have to make the pitch. You got to make it at least a good strike where the guy does bunt, and you're trying to get that out at first base. And these are key points when we start looking at what happens. This is the diagram we talk about in a classic bunt. Everybody's moving. Everybody's got a role here. The pitcher comes in, first and third as we talk. Shortstop's covering second, second comes over. And now you look at your catcher. The catcher's got the communication to say who's got the ball, who's going to get the ball, who's going to make the play. But this key point that I wanted to make on this classic bunt is your job as a pitcher to go straight in and field the ball. That is your job on a classic bunt.
Yeah, I don't want to take any attention away from the pitcher part of this, because obviously this is what this class is, right? But I would mention, if the bunt is in front, you have the catcher arrow there. But what's important here on this play for third baseman and catchers is you've got that, as a catcher, we always say, switch on a bunt, switch on a bunt. If the third baseman is the one who fields that ball and he's coming in, that catcher is responsible for going to third base. If the ball's not bunted at the third baseman, then he's going to be able to retrieve back. But so your arrows here, I want to make sure it's clear to everyone else. That really is indicating everyone's got to attack the ball first. But based on that, we got to make sure we have somebody over at third base, and that's going to be either the catcher or the third baseman, depending upon who fields the ball.
And sometimes even coaches will say the pitcher, if you know the third baseman is covering the ball and the ball's bunted to him, sometimes the pitcher runs over to third. But you're actually right. Usually the catcher follows that up, and sometimes the pitcher will have speed and get over there and become. As long as someone's there to cover third base, where you got the shortstop going to second and nobody's at third, sometimes even the left fielder might come in.
Well, I was just going to say, if you're playing for you, that left fielder better be at least headed in that direction, or we're going to have a little chat.
It's always important to have somebody at every base on any kind of play. You teach that, I teach that for my pitchers. You can't stand. Don't stand and watch the play. Know where you got to go, and if you don't know where you're going, go there anyway. At least you're covering the back. So
No
here's my final
situation.
situation, Sarge. Here's my final one of the day. You're 2 for 2 so far. So this is the
Okay.
third one I got for
Oh,
you.
I got pressure. I got pressure to go undefeated here. All right, what do we got? We got runners on first and second, no outs. Force play at third base, ball bunted towards the third baseman. Walk us through it. I know a lot of this, to me, as I know what you're going to go through here, but boy, footwork is so crucially important, right-hander or left-hander. This is a big play where we got to get the out at third base.
Well, and this all generates before you even make the pitch, where the third baseman or catcher comes out and says, you got the third base line, third baseman staying at third. So you as a pitcher knows that the only place you have to go is third base. If it's bunted back to you, it's going to be a base hit because you make the pitch, you're going right to third base. And every hitter will tell you with first and second, you're supposed to hit it to third base because the pressure now becomes on the pitcher. Now, of course, being a left-hander, he's got the hard thing about covering first. This is exactly what a left-hander wants you to do, is to hit the ball to him because everything is generating all his momentum to third base. The little lefty's getting down. He's getting his hands down on the ball. He's already starting to get that left foot back where he's got a nice solid throw, and he's going to feel the ball and force the play at third base. The big point that I want to make, stay as low as you can. Submarine the ball. Shuffle it over there. You never want to stand up. When you stand up, it's 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, then you throw the ball. And with that runner at second base and how aggressive you are as the third base coach, Sarge, you know that runner's coming before that ball is even bunted most of the time. Secondary leads, fast runners will just take off. And as a pitcher, you have to get it and snap it to third if you're going to get that force up.
Yeah, I feel like lefties naturally do a better job of staying low because it's kind of, they're already on that track right there. But for right-handers, you see it too much. And what I love about what you put here is circle the ball, which means you got to get around the ball. That's footwork. You've got to get around the ball so that you're receiving it, so that your open shoulder is going to go right to the third baseman. The minute you see a guy open up this way and come across his body, I know as the other coach that they're going to be chasing the ball down the third baseline.
Well, there's good and bad in this picture here with my right hand.
Boy.
He circled the ball very well. He's got his foot down. He's looking at the ball. I don't understand where his throwing hand is. He's got it up by his waist where it should be down in that glove. And what does he do? He stands up. And you stand up being 6'4", now you got a big body to contend with. There's no way he can underhand his ball. And you said it way earlier. Look at where the ball and the glove is. He doesn't even have a grip on the ball yet. And he should have had it as soon as he caught the ball on the left. And he just messed this play up completely when he stood up. And that runner's going to be safe 99 out of 100 times.
Absolutely. I mean, you can see him bobble the ball on the right. You can actually, the ball's not even in his hand on the right. And that's why I also think that, correct me if I'm wrong, this isn't great footwork. I mean, he's trying to get around the ball, but he's really not. I mean, look where his left foot is. He's still going to have to, when he receives the ball, turn all the way around. What I'm talking about is getting around that ball, right? So you've got that footwork where it's one motion right to the third baseman. This is a play, and really it's the coaches out there. You have to drill this down. Mm-hmm. You can't just, I mean, you have to drill and work on this play and work on that footwork. But I do like one thing, though. His eyes are right on the ball, though.
Well, you're absolutely right, because as you're feeling that ball, that left leg should be moving toward third base. So you're sliding already when you're catching that ball where you're even with the bag. So all you got to do is fire. And it's so important. I like how he rounded the ball with the right foot. As you said it, that left foot isn't even close to being where it is on the one on the right. Sure, he might have opened up because he had to, but that left foot should have been way open. And as you called it, parallel right to the bag. And it's just a flip because these things happen so fast. And a ball hit like this with runners going, there's no way he's going to get a runner at third base being slow once he caught the ball, standing up, and then he's still shuffling to throw the ball. But we're looking at high school kids here, and that's what I loved about bringing these kids to Rayleigh Field, and they didn't know some of the drills we did. And once you started talking to them, oh, yeah, I remember how to do it. but yet when you put it in play, you see the little mistakes. And high school kids, they need to be drilled on different drills over and over again. I agree with you 100%, Sarge. This is one play that pitchers need to work on because it happens, and it happens so fast. Next thing you know, you got bases loaded in a situation where you could have had an out at third, back at first and second.
Or worse, or you throw the ball away. See, what I'm nervous about, I know we're going to move on to the next one here, running a little bit out of time, but what I don't like is if I see this and I'm the third baseman, I mean, I see his rear end there. I know he's not in good position. I know he's going to turn and fire, and that ball could be anywhere at that point.
It sure can.
So it makes me nervous as a third baseman because I know now it's not the rhythm of the play. And that's the ball that gets thrown away. And now it's, they bunted the ball, trying to advance guys, but giving us an out, and we turn it into a big rally.
And most of the time, the third basemen are stretching for the ball because they become a first baseman because it's a force play. But it's not going to matter. If you don't get the ball there fast enough, that runner's going to be standing on third base by the time you snatch it. So it's a prompt, quick reaction, and pitchers need to work on that play because it does happen a lot in the game.
Well, this is the big one. It's the squeeze play. And, this is really one where you've got to think it through, and some coaches, that are really bold might call this with no outs. Kind of a real gutsy call with no outs. You rarely, if ever, you don't have to worry about it with 2 outs because you can just make the play at first. But this is one where know the situation. If there was 1 out, lower end of the lineup, I mean, you got to be looking and expecting and planning and thinking to yourself how you're going to execute that the squeeze play may be on here.
And you have to be aware of it. That's the whole thing. With that runner on third base, I'm going to go back to when I pitched, and I still preach this. You have to go from the stretch. You cannot go from the windup with the runner on third base. You literally have to get that runner to stop because you know as well as I do, those runners come halfway down the line to try to get you to balk, try to do anything they can. Now, if you're in a windup, that guy could even be 60, 70% down the line. I mean, these runners are so fast these days, and they're alert to know what the pitcher's doing. Get into the stretch, hold a runner, look at him, make sure his feet are stopped. Step off if they aren't. Get that runner to stop before he starts taking off, before the squeeze bunt is the reaction of the pitcher. That is the first key that every pitcher should do when they're throwing with the runner on third, when there's a possible squeeze play.
I know we're going to talk about the footwork here and open hand, but before you do, when you can anticipate a squeeze play or you see, again, if you're in the stretch position as you're suggesting, it's actually a great tip, right? But if you think it's coming and you hear the guy going, do you automatically throw that ball up and in? I'm not talking about trying to hit anybody. I'm just saying that ball up a little bit so that maybe we pop it up. Is that instinctive? If the pitch was a curveball low and away, and now a squeeze, do you continue to throw that curveball away, or do you kind of make a game time decision there and throw one up and in?
It's really about what the catcher's calling there. I always like to try to elevate a fastball anytime I know a bunt's going to happen. And most of the time they either pull it back and you're fine with it, it's a ball. But then you're realizing, okay, was that a squeeze or was that really a bunt? But in this, you're absolutely right. If you see out of your corner of your eye that runner coming, you try to elevate that fastball. If you can get him to pop it up, you got a double play. If you throw a normal strike and you're just going to give it up to him, you just gave yourself a run. So you have to be quick-minded about rising that fastball up. If it's a breaking ball, try to throw it in the dirt. Try to throw it out of the strike zone because he may go over it, and guess what? That catcher catches it, tags the runner. So you have to be smart, anticipate what's going on, and out of your corner of your eye, you have to try to make this play. And there's 2 ways we can make it. We can make it barehanded with the open hand where he's really reaching down, getting the ball, and he's making one dish to home plate, or the lefty, which is kind of farther out. You wouldn't really flip a ball that far, but I wanted to show the glove flip. And that's the other way that you can get a guy at home plate. You don't have enough time to stop and throw. You have to anticipate, try to make it a quick reaction. And the right-hander here, great eye vision on the ball, hand wide open, and all he's going to do is grab it and toss it. And most of the time, your catcher's out in front of the plate, retrieving it and putting that tag down.
Well, he's got great technique here. I know the class bell is going to ring here in a couple minutes, but we've got two really good shots here. I think that, the guy's a little far away. The guy on the right, the left-hander on the right-hand side picture there is a little bit further away, but it's still not a bad glove flip try. I know you were working on that specifically with him, but man, I love the guy on the left there. That open
Yeah,
hand, eyes on the ball. That's
perfect.
textbook right there.
Yeah, perfect way to do it. And those are the only really two ways you're going to get anybody out when you're doing that squeeze bunt play. So, Sarge, I wanted to ask you this question, and I'll ask you this. What's the best way for pitchers to improve their defense? Do you have your coach hit balls to you every day, hit them back at you? Do you throw a ball against the wall? Or do you play the game of pepper, which is really so old of a game, but we love to play that game? Or all of the above? Sarge, which one would you choose?
Well, I'm going to do the thing I did at school. If they give you all of the above as a choice, I'm going to go with D, all of the above. But, where I grew up, we did a lot of that, throwing the ball against the wall and ground balls. You just brought back some good memories, but I just love the game of pepper. I just think it's a great tool for batters, for pitchers, but I'm going to go with D, all of the above.
And you're absolutely right. And the game of pepper is something that we need to get back into the game. Go on the outfield. We always get on ballparks and fields where they say, no pepper, no pepper. Well, this is the reason, because they don't want you hitting balls off the wall. Sure, go out in the outfield. It's an easy way to play a game. There's so many different things you can play, from points to each other. You can play flip off of it. But the key is watching the ball in the glove. What I love about this shot, both the guys that aren't catching the ball are watching it. And that's what's cool about it. So you got all three people included in it, and your little lefty's watching the ball go in his glove, and you get a good hitter that can spray the ball across you. It's a great game, and it's so fun to play, especially if you get pitchers and you get a fielder in there and you start flipping the ball. It's a great team chemistry game.
Well, I think, the other part of pepper, and you're the best I've ever seen with a fungo in hand, right? So that's the other side of it, right? So, if I always say this to pitchers, like, you should be good with your fungo. You got a lot of time there, and they go, well, what fungo? Well, number one, if you want your defense to get better, I would be getting good with your fungo. And you definitely got your defense better by hitting good fungos. And it does matter. It really does matter.
It does. And every pitcher should learn how to hit fungos. You're absolutely right. To make my defense better behind me, I'll hit them 100 ground balls if I have to. And back in my day, we only had one or two coaches. So pitchers did the thing. We hit fly balls, we hit ground balls, and that's what we love to do. And instead of shagging, I love hitting ground balls, and I do. And I'll spin them every which way. And that just makes your fielders better. It makes everybody behind you have confidence. And as a pitcher, I want every ball that's hit on the ground caught. So I want my infielders spoiled. And if it takes me to hit 100 or more ground balls each day, go out and do it. Make your team better.
It's good stuff. Well, I tell you what, this has been really, really great, Bill. Thank you so much for your time. I again encourage everybody to go online, check out these classes. Mark Davis, Bill Laskey on pitching, Joe Youngblood on hitting, outfield, base running, Eric Ortega on strength and conditioning, Brian Harper on catching and blocking and receiving drills. There's so much great information here that everybody can get better. So, Bill, thanks for your time. We'll catch everybody next time. I'm your host, Bob Sargent, saying so long from Big League Coaching. We'll see you next time.